Hey everybody, welcome to Crack a Pack Tuesday number 76 on the Mana Leak. I'm John as always, and we are solidly in Kaladesh time, so we're going to open this pack of Kaladesh, see what's in it, and see what we would take pack one, pick one if this was a draft. Up first, we have ourselves a High Tide Hermit. High Tide Hermit is 4 and a blue for a creature crab. It's a 4/4. It has Defender. When it enters the battlefield, you get yourself 4 energy, which is quite a bit of energy. Pay 2, and it can attack this turn as though it didn't have Defender. I'm not a big fan of High Tide Hermit. It's really costly for a 4/4 Defender. It gets to attack twice from its own energy reserves, which is okay, but you're still paying 5 for a 4/4. I don't know. If this was 4 for a 4/4 Defender with all this stuff, maybe. But I'm just not super high on High Tide Hermit. I might play it here or there in certain decks if I'm really heavily into energy, but again, it's 5 mana. Certainly not a first pick. Up next, we have Built to Smash. Built to Smash, a single red mana for an instant. Target attacking, very important note, attacking creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn. If it's an artifact creature, it gets trample until end of turn. It's a fine enough combat trick if you're in an aggressive red deck, especially if you have some artifacts, but it's never, ever, ever a first pick, and not even a high pick at that. It's a solidly mid to late pack pick. Up next, we have Fragment Eyes. Fragment Eyes is a single white mana for a sorcery. Again, a very important note, sorcery. I've had to correct people trying to cast this at instant speed. Destroy target artifact or enchantment with converted mana cost 4 or less. It's fine. I know a lot of people are saying this is the best artifact removal. I don't agree. I think being able to only hit mana cost 4 or less is a very real downside of this card. The things you want to hit are Gear Hulks and big scary things like that, and this does nothing against them. Still, it's a totally fine sideboard card, but I am not sold on main decking a Fragment Eyes just yet. Certainly not a first pick. Up next, we have Fastwing Smith. Fastwing Smith is 3 and a blue for a creature human artificer. It's a 3/3. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, Fastwing Smith gains flying until end of turn. This is fine. It's a 4 mana 3/3, which is a hill giant, which is fine. It's not exciting, and it's very 23rd cardy. However, if you do start to hit a critical mass of artifacts, somewhere in the 6+ range, I would say, then this becomes a lot better because it's going to be a 3/3 flyer for 4 most of the time. Now, never on defense, which is very important. This is really more of an aggressive creature than it is a defensive creature because it's not flying on the defense unless you're flashing in an artifact, and I can't think of any offhand that have flash. But yeah, not a first pick, and you can generally take it or leave it, I think. Next up, we have Subtle Strike. Subtle Strike is 1 and a black for an instant. Choose one or both. Target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn, and or put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. There's basically no reason you would never not choose both unless you're really behind and don't have a board state. I like Subtle Strike. It's great. It's solid early game kind of removal. Plus, it can do some things late game if you have the right board state. Being able to just kill an X1 is great. Being able to put a counter on your creature is also solid. Being able to kill a 2/2 with your 2/2 by making it a 1/1 and making yours a 3/3. And the fact that it just scales up is fantastic. They have a 6/6, you have a 4/4. If you want, you can make both things a 5/5 and kill it off. I like Subtle Strike quite a bit, enough to keep it in frame as a first pick. However, I would be pretty sad if our pack was so weak that we had the first pick of Subtle Strike. Up next is Appetite for the Unnatural. Appetite for the Unnatural, 2 and a green for an instant. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. You gain 2 life. I like this way more than Fragment Eyes. Way more. It kills every artifact. Yes, it costs 3, but it's instant speed and it kills everything. I like this way more than Fragment Eyes. If I was going to consider main decking some artifact removal, this is the one I would want. I would want to be in green and playing this, not Fragment Eyes. However, nowhere near a first pick. Next up, we have I can never remember. Narnam Cobra. Narnam Cobra, 2 generic mana for an artifact creature, snake. It's a 2/1. Pay green, Narnam Cobra gains Death Touch until end of turn. If you are not in green, this is very 23rd cardish. You'll play it if you're desperate for creatures, maybe if you're desperate for artifacts as well, but there's just a billion other things you would rather play. If you're in green, this is fine. It's like 22nd cardish. Again, you're not going to go out of your way to play it, but it's a fine enough card to play if you do have a spot for it. 2-1 for 2, nice and aggressive, and later in the game, if you're in green, it can kill off some big things with Death Touch. It's fine. It's never a first pick, and never something you'll go out of your way for, though. Next up, we have Propeller Pioneer. Propeller Pioneer, 3 and a white for a creature, human artificer. It's a 2-1. It has flying and fabricate 1. I like Propeller Pioneer. It's solid. It's really, really solid. It's one of the fabricate cards where, honestly, I think the counter is more often the right choice, because getting a 3-2 flyer for 4 is just going to be great in a lot of board states. Now, if a 3-2 flyer for 4 is not something that is going to scare your opponent, they have a 2-2 flyer or something, then yeah, you can spread the love around a little bit and make a servo instead. I like Propeller Pioneer. I don't think I'd ever first pick it, but I would put it kind of mid to high mid pack, especially in pack 2 and 3 when I know I'm in white, and I'll basically always play it, but it's not in the first pick discussion. Up next, we have Workshop Assistant. Workshop Assistant is 3 generic mana for an artifact creature construct. It's a 1-2, and when it dies, return another target artifact you control from your graveyard to your hand. No, I'm never really interested in 3 mana 1-2s unless their ability is incredible, and this is really the opposite of incredible. You have to have an artifact in your graveyard already. It goes from graveyard to hand. No. Way too much has to go right. And going right actually means going wrong because your awesome Gearhulk or whatever has already died once. Way too much going on here. I would basically never play this card. Certainly never, ever first pick it. Next up, we have Salivating Gremlins. Salivating Gremlins is 2 and a red for a creature gremlin. It's a 2-3. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, Salivating Gremlins gets +2/+0 and gains trample until end of turn. I like Salivating Gremlins a fair bit. I definitely need to have a good number of artifacts. I'm talking, I don't know, I want a minimum of 5 for this, I think. I want to make sure that at least every other turn, this thing's a 4/3 trample. Preferably every turn it's a 4/3 trample, but that is going to require a good number of artifacts. If you don't have this and this is just a 2/3 for 3, you should be cutting it, quite frankly. But yeah, if you have enough, if you have kind of 5 or 6 plus artifacts, this is a great card. Never a first pick. Never, ever, ever a first pick. On to the uncommons, we've got ourselves a Foundry Inspector. Foundry Inspector, 3 generic mana for an artifact creature construct. It's a 3/2. Artifact spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. I love Foundry Inspector. It's going to hang out in frame here. Goes in every single deck you play. Even if you are playing no other artifacts, it's still a 3/2 for 3, which is pure filler. But if you have any artifacts, and you probably should have at least a couple more artifacts, this just gets even better. The fact that you can first pick this and stay completely open in colors is great as well. I really like Foundry Inspector as a first pick. Our next uncommon is a Malfist Doorbuster. Chad McDoorsmash. 3 and a red for a creature human warrior. It's a 4/2. When Malfist Doorbuster enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy. When Malfist Doorbuster attacks, you may pay energy. If you do, target creature can't block this turn. I like Malfist Doorbuster quite a bit. It's a 4/2 for 4, which is not my favorite stats. In fact, I've talked about how I hate those stats. However, the fact that this thing can just say, you can't block, can really screw your opponent up. Unless you are in a board stall, this is going to start getting through for a lot of damage, plus letting the rest of your team through as well. Now, of course, you can only pay 1 energy per turn, so you can't go you can't block. You can only pick 1. But in a lot of board states, that is just going to be a beating. I don't think it's really ever a first pick in this pack so far. I think we're going to keep it in the discussion. Our commons really kind of sucked. But in most packs, I don't think it would be in the first pick discussion. Our final uncommon is Elegant Edgecrafters. Elegant Edgecrafters are 4 green for creature elf artificer. They're a 3/4. They cannot be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less, and they have Fabricate 2. So this is a 6 mana 3/4 with a pair of 1/1s, or a 6 mana 5/6. That can't be blocked, that can't be chump blocked, basically, by 2 power or less. They're solid. They're really solid. They cost a lot. They absolutely cost a lot. So you need to make sure that you're in a deck that's going to make it to the late game. If you can't survive a super fast red deck, you probably shouldn't be playing this creature. That being said, if you can even slightly make it to 6 mana, it's a really, really, really solid creature. It's going to do a lot of work for you. I think it's in the first pick discussion. Again, it's almost like Malphus Doorbuster, where I don't think I'd ever really be happy first picking it. But if I had to, I would. So it can hang out in frame. We unfortunately don't have a foil or a masterpiece, but we have a rare Multiforme Wonder. Multiforme Wonder is 3 generic mana for an artifact creature construct. It's a 3/3. When Multiforme Wonder enters the battlefield, you get 3 energy. Pay 1 energy. Multiforme Wonder gains your choice of flying, vigilant, or lifelink until end of turn. Pay 1 energy. Multiforme Wonder gets +2/-2 or -2/+2 until end of turn. This thing's a beating. This thing is so good. The amount of versatility that you get on this is incredible. Even if this is your only energy producer in the entire deck, it still is going to do a ton of work. You can make this a 5/1 flying lifelinker if you want to with its 3 energy, and that alone should be a game-swinging thing. If you have any extra energy to spend this, it just gets even better. I love Multiforme Wonder. I think it's a snap first pick. I think really nothing's even in discussion here. I like Foundry Inspector, but there's no way it's going to be better than Multiforme Wonder. So Multiforme Wonder is my pick for this pack. Let me know what you would have taken in the comments in below and in the poll in the top right-hand corner. Would it have been the Multiforme Wonder, the Foundry Inspector, Chad McDoorsmash, or Subtle Strike, or something else? Let me know. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can find me on Twitter at The Mana Leak. That's L-E-E-K, like the vegetable, not the card. You can also find me at facebook.com/The Mana Leak and twitch.tv/The Mana Leak. You've found me here on YouTube. You've got that comment section down below. Please make use of it. Click that thumbs up icon if you like the content. Click subscribe if you want to see more. And as always, if you do have any questions, comments, or suggestions, let me know. Otherwise, see you all next time.